I know nothing of fear and nothing of remorse. Pay my fee, and together we will vanquish any foe. My song tells of a frozen death, and my painting is inked by my enemy's blood. My own past bears no significance. I am but the brush of my own art, and the purpose of my existence is to serve it. I am an artisan, painting in strokes of blood red upon the canvas of life. But yes, I will take coin to fight at your side. After all, where is the value in creating art if there is nobody left alive to see it? It seems you have made some shady friends. You and I are becoming more alike. I see you too serve the Void Father, my patron. There is no more need for me to conceal who I am. The cult of Sithis was once my great amphitheater, where my song echoed through the silence of my victims. But with our sanctuary's fall to the Thalmor in their onslaught of Hammerfell, I was forced into exile, living in the dark and continuing my art. I have always been who I am, an artist. Except back then, my art was indeed paintings, sculptures, and songs. I was once a lecturer in the Bard's College, you see, and my work was the talk of the whole province.
We sell bows, arrows, and ale. A unique combination.
Back then I had a different name and a different face. Besides, after the abrupt end of my Bard career, I doubt the college would boast my work anymore. As I reveled in my fame, so too rose the jealousy of my fellow artists. The dean of my division feared obscurity. If it meant her place could be secure, she would have her competition erased from existence. I noticed the changes in her attitude and movements, and understood things had changed between us, so I followed her to learn what she was up to. As I arrived at her destination, I saw an almost perfectly laid black sacrament, and the dean right beside it. There needed not be more discussion. I understood well who she intended to kill. I knew how effective the children of Sithis were. If she had completed the ritual, it could only end in my death. So instead of letting that happen, I slitted her throat. With that, the chance of the sacrament had been silenced. And with that, I realized she had what she wanted. I became a murderer, and I could no longer return to the world I once knew and loved. I delivered Sithis a soul, as he demanded. By the time they came, the Dark Brotherhood would have had me. Did I? I still killed the artist that was the joy of solitude, as the Dean desired. The great Dunmer Bard would forever be known as a murderer, and the Dean a martyr of art. I disposed of the body, hoping that it'd stay hidden until I made my escape. As Solitude's sight grew distant, I kept looking back, fearing for the guard's pursuit and lamenting the life I once had in that city. My exile eventually led me to Hammerfell, where I would be contacted by the Dark Brotherhood and become their initiate. So began my second life as an artist, except this time my ink is my victim's blood, and my chorus is my target's dying cries. Do I truly? In some ways, my identity has never changed. I am an artist who craves recognition and seeks to refine her arts to the extreme. I'm living the life that I precisely expected.
We sell bows, arrows, and ale. A unique combination.
I was running westward, and it was a choice between High Rock and Hammerfell. At the time, I thought Hammerfell to be more familiar to me. In some ways, it reminded me of the Red Mountains' heat, you see. Of course. I became an artist again, and this time, my patron was the Void Father. In my contracts, I would pose as a wandering minstrel. The exotic beauty of a Dunmer combined with the allure of art would succumb many to my charm. What harm could a minstrel do, they'd think. That was when my blade sent them to my patron. The same way most did, I learned from a master and kept practicing. At first, I was only assigned contracts to kill unsuspecting connoisseurs and nobles, but my effort eventually earned me real work. In many ways, my blade has become my paintbrush, my trade's tool, my means to make art. and it's always inked in blood. There's no comparison. They were the deadly machine to silence the song of life, taint the yellow sands red, and strike fear from the Abyssinian Sea to the Hrothgar Mountains. I once thought we Dunmer were the masters of shadows, but the Redguards proved to be our equal, if not more. So don't take any offense. Hammerfell's brotherhood was simply hard to surpass. The Thalmor overran us. One of our Dark Brothers was seduced by the Thalmor's promises. He leaked the Sanctuary's location and aided them in wiping us out. We proved resilient at first, but our greatest weapon was the Shadow. As the traitor exposed us, we were but prey for the picking. Eventually, the Brotherhood was scattered. I might very well be the last of us.
I can tell you're no stranger to the wilds.
We eliminate targets effectively, and the Redguards understood this from first-hand experience, so we were contracted to kill the Thalmor commanders. At the end of the day, it mattered not to the Void Father whether he received Redguard's soul or Altmer's soul. But as the Redguard saw our prowess, so did the Thalmor. When the Golden Eagle identifies its prey, it's only a matter of time its talons strike. The Thalmor general was as vile as she was prideful. She believed in the Thalmor's prowess wholeheartedly. Why would she hire the cult of Sithis when her Khajiit could slay the Redguards all the same? So it became a war of subterfuge between the Dark Brotherhood and the Thalmor. We killed their commanders, and they killed the Redguard nobles. For a very long time, we had the upper hand in this war. But things changed when one of us betrayed his family. The traitorous Khajiit fell in love with a Thalmor assassin after the many times they crossed blades and bonded. He thought he could buy his way into the Thalmor if he ratted out the Brotherhood so that they could be together. For a time, he had what he wanted. Eventually, I traced them to their small cottage in Elsewhere, living under the shadows of the Eagle with their litter of kittens. I entered their cottage, and my blade was sated with the traitor and his wife's blood. Then I left the kittens to their fate. From whom? The Thalmor would never go that far for a Khajiit who had expended his usefulness. Of course. I did at one point, but when I witnessed how they'd thrown away their legacy and became common cutthroats, I realized they weren't worth my faith. So I arranged my death and left on the first chance I got. A contract gone wrong, a rightly timed explosion, and a burnt Dunmer corpse. Things like this happen all the time, and with how little regard Astrid gave to me, she couldn't have been more pleased by the outcome. So was I. Of course. He isn't unlike the Redguard nobles in Hammerfell, self-absorbed, pretentious, and all the while incompetent. He was a fool to have refused my offer. Many seek his demise, and I will enjoy watching his downfall from the shadows. People like him can never survive without people like us.